Now, I don't, again, we're estimating that, 80 to 100% of those who come in for this first screening visit will be eligible for the second screening visit. So hopefully, you're not dropping a lot of women between those two visits, and you don't have to make a lot of those calls. But there will be women whose lab test, especially the FSH and estradiol, may indicate that they're not actually menopausal. I would guess that would be the major reason that they become ineligible during that point. So then the women come in for their second screening visit, and this is just a brief overview. Those women become eligible. There's a few more eligibility assessments that happen at screening visit 2. Eligible women are randomized, study pools are dispensed, and the estimated number is about 4 or 5 a week. So 80 to 100% of those who completed the first screening visit. Again, these numbers are adjustable depending on your time frame and how you can recruit much faster. I don't think you can go much more slowly, but you can go more quickly if you want to condense your activities in a shorter time frame. So then the detail on this visit, this is again scheduled to occur approximately 1 week after the first visit, and the following tasks occur. They will have done a hot flash diary for that week, so the first thing you want to do is you need to get that into the database, and you actually have to get that in the database at that visit, because that's also an eligibility that they still have to have had the same number of hot flashes, and they also cannot have dropped by more than 50%. So again, the database will calculate that for you. You get that entered and it'll let you know whether she's eligible or not. There's a visit 2 questionnaire that she's going to have completed. You want to look through that for completeness. There are not any eligibility items on that form that I can recall, but you want to make sure that you have that questionnaire from her. And again, if she forgot to bring it with her, then you should have her complete it while she's there. She's going to have brought back her urine sample. You're going to be processing that. And then you're going to do her blood pressure and pulse. This would be one area where she then could become ineligible. Let's say she comes in at this point and her blood pressure was fine last time, but now it's over the acceptable range. She would not be eligible at this point. So you're always going to do that. Again, those kind of safety things every time. And if her blood pressure is high, then she's not eligible until she can get under control and something with her heart rate. And then this is when you do the pregnancy test. This would be another place where she could potentially become ineligible. If a woman is pregnant, then she's not eligible. I wouldn't expect you're going to lose too many women to this, but you never know. So you definitely need to do that before you randomize. So once all of this is put into the database, so this is a very interactive, visit. You're going to run this final, push this button that runs this final eligibility criteria at that point, and it will actually pop up on the screen that actually says eligible or not eligible or randomized, or I can't remember what it says. If you click that button, she can be randomized, you click that button and she's randomized. If she's not, then you need to let her know at that point when you're not eligible, because perhaps her hot flash has dropped to nothing during that time period, or your blood pressure is high or whatever. Like I said, there's not too many things that make her ineligible at this point, but there are still a couple. So then the women who met all study criteria can be randomized. As was explained last night, this is a double-blind study. Once it comes up, you will have no idea what she was randomized to. The database knows, but you won't. Again, Mike will show you, once you have randomized her, the whole pill dispensation. The pills are in a carton, and there's a little map that says, go pick out pill bottle, 115, and you won't know whether that's active or a placebo medication, but the computer does. So it will tell you which study pill to grab out of the carton. And Mike has a little sample of what the carton's going to look like, but he'll, again, explain that to you a little bit more. And then once you've gotten that out, you go record in the database that you've done this, and you coded the barcode that's on the pill bottle. But then there's a whole set of procedures to go along with that. And then at the end of the visit, you're going to do the following tasks. You're going to give her enough hot flash diaries to carry her through the 4-week interval between now and then when she comes in for her next session. That might not be the exact 4 weeks, so you probably want to give her more like 5 weeks. Because once she's in the study, we want her to fill out a hot flash diary every day until week 11. So if it turns out that her 4-week appointment is actually 4 weeks and 2 days from now. She needs to have the 5 weeks worth so that she can record every day, even if it's not 5 full weeks. So, unless she could get sick or something, I would recommend giving at least 5 weeks. I don't know, what do you think, Janet? Even 6 weeks or 5 weeks at that point? Worth of diaries or 5 is sufficient, yeah. Because we have a windows that Ellen Friedman has recommended that the women's follow-up visits need to be scheduled within, I think it's, I'm sorry, I don't have it, it's either 3 or 4 days around that time. So she really needs to come in 4 weeks later because again, this is a home medication thing. She needs to get a second bottle of medication. So, she shouldn't need too many diaries to cover that period. But you just want to at least make sure that she has enough. So 5 weeks is probably enough. You're going to give her a booklet that is still under development that will have the pill instructions and safety information. So it'll kind of let her know what to look out for, some encouragement to take her pills every day, instructions on when to call the site, if she's having certain problems or whatever. And so it's mostly safety information about the study medication. And then if you haven't already scheduled those follow-up contacts at this point, you're going to schedule them or confirm them. You probably won't schedule them already, but you can schedule them now. Okay, so the screening and study visits. The DCC and kind of study-wide, what kind of support? So you're going to have the basic materials, most of which I've showed you some of these drafts of. There's the model phone scripts, the cover letters, consent forms, the participant forms, and then there's all the staff forms, which I didn't really show you except for this Form 110. But there are staff forms, like I said, that are completed in every visit and that you use to help track your activities. The procedures are developed. It's just we're still getting them on paper, so you'll be getting your procedures manual before the study starts, I promise. So. And that will go into, that's going to have all this detail on paper and then some more details that, again, really how to get an accurate waist hip measurements and all that will be in the study procedures. We're providing a database for the data entry and reports. Again, there's some tracking and scheduling things that you'll need to supplement with your own systems. There's the clinic liaison support, that would be Lynn. Of course, any of us here are always glad to answer your questions and help. I focus mostly on recruitment, so I'll be participating more in that phase, but we're all happy to answer your questions at any time. So there'll be regular conference calls, and then again, we'll help monitor the study-wide progress, how the recruitment's going, how screening's going. We'll provide you with reports and the ability to do that, and then we'll be monitoring it also study-wide for you. I haven't much covered really quick slides. I really wasn't going to go into this much, but I had these slides from before, so I thought I'd put them in. For minority recruitment, again, to remind you, half of the randomized women are going to be African American. So when you're talking with women, you always want to reinforce the importance of, representation of African American women in the study. We don't have anything tailored specifically to African Americans. It's not a huge number, so again, we're going to kind of see how it goes. And WHI, again, I don't need to keep referring to that, but we recruited thousands of minority women, and using mostly the same methods. So I'm not sure that you'll need to do special methods for African Americans. However, that can certainly be looked at along the way. If you're having difficulties, then we're going to need to explore some other ways and things to do. And so we'll be evaluating that along the way. And these are things you can look at later. They're just some cross-cultural interaction things. I don't know, that they're really across all cultures, not necessarily just African Americans. So don't want to spend any time like that right now, but again, along the way, that'll be something we can also discuss on those recruitment calls. If you're having special difficulties, we'll help with that.